Today we're going to be sharing our tips on how to avoid travel burnout. One thing that we feel does not get talked about enough in the travel space is mental health. Traveling can be so tiring and exhausting and hard on your mental health, and we see a lot of travelers that are so gung-ho when they start traveling and they just full send, they do all of these activities, they want to check all these things off their bucket list that all of a sudden they just get so burnt out and their mental health suffers, and we hate to see that. And often people say like, oh, traveling isn't for me because it gives me so much anxiety or it stresses me out or I get too exhausted, but we feel like there are some strategies you can implement to avoid that. So today we're going to be sharing our tips on how to avoid travel burnout.
If you haven't seen us before, we're Eric and Sarah, and for the past year and a half we've been traveling full time, and we pretty much do this for a living. So for us it's really important to be maintaining our mental health so that travel can be sustainable. If you've been watching our videos for a while, you know that we're huge advocates for slow travel, and that's just our number one tip, is to just travel a little bit slower. You don't need to be going fast as possible. Just travel within your means, whatever that means for you, really. So for us, like what we normally do is we'll be traveling maybe fast. For us, fast is like we'll move a place maybe every couple of days, maybe 3 or 4 days. And then after maybe 3 weeks of doing that, we take 3 or 4 weeks of just staying in one spot and just catching up and taking time for ourselves and just not going too fast, because otherwise we will get burned out.
Yeah, and this might look differently for you. This might look like traveling really fast for a week straight and then taking a week kind of slow. Yeah. It might look like booking tours a bunch for 1 week and then the next week maybe you're still moving cities but you're not actually booking anything. It can look completely different, but for us personally, booking longer stays is a huge way to avoid travel burnout, because we find that if we're moving every 2 to 3 days, we just feel like we're only ever packing our bags and moving to somewhere new. So.
And as our good friends Drew and Alex always say, it's all about balance.
Our second tip is to just find some sort of outlet to reflect on your experiences, whether that's journaling or music or just going on a walk by yourself. Find a way to just kind of be with your emotions, because traveling can be a lot. It brings up a lot of emotions of like joy, but also sadness, maybe some loneliness, exhaustion. There's so many different emotions that happen. So taking time every day if possible to just reflect on that, whether it's even for a few minutes, just kind of reflect on what you did in the day. It really helps just kind of recenter yourself and just to be aware of all these crazy new experiences you're getting.
I'm not very good at this, but journaling is a really big thing. You're processing a lot when you're going to new countries. To write something down, just a thought, it somehow has like this mental thing where you just kind of leave it on the paper and you don't have to think about it again. It's just important to kind of put it down.
Tip number 3 is you cannot do it all. This is something that I've really struggled with when we first started traveling, is just I always had this list of things I wanted to do and I just wanted to do them all, and I would feel such guilt or disappointment if I for some reason just couldn't do them all. But you have to be reasonable that you cannot do everything. And travel is about more than just checking things off of a bucket list. It's not about going to all these different sites or doing 1,000 things in one country. You have to be reasonable about what you can handle physically, what your body can handle, but also mentally what you can handle. So for us now, our strategy is that we just want every day to be amazing and really special. So if the amazing day is that we just made our own food and went on a couple walks and we didn't do anything super exciting, but it was an amazing day, there's no regrets on that day because it was just what we needed. So you don't need to be doing something super crazy and new every single day.
And it can be really hard too, right? Because it's like you're booking a flight to this country and it's like, I probably won't come here ever again. So I got to see it all. I want to see it all. I want to check it off my list. But honestly, like sometimes it's just not worth it. Like just don't kill yourself to try and get to every single corner of a country sometimes, you know?
Make a priority list, know what your top things are and try to nail down those. But otherwise, the other things are just kind of like bonus things. That's how we think of it now. If we get to there, it's a bonus, you know?
Tip number 4 for avoiding travel burnout is to have a routine that makes you feel normal. Just because you're traveling doesn't mean that your home routine should just go completely out the window. It's really important that you're getting enough sleep, you're getting the proper amount of food and nutrition, and you're getting good exercise. For us, we like to make sure that we're going on lots of walks and just take some time for that. It just really helps you feel normal and not just like you're in this crazy mess of a new country, you know what I mean? Like it's
exactly.
It can be kind of crazy.
Like anything that makes you feel at home, try to implement it as much as you can. Obviously there's certain days when that's not possible, like on travel days or tour days. But if you have a day where you don't really have much planned, try to make it feel as much like home as you can, and you will feel way less burnt out. Just try to have a routine that makes you feel like you, whatever that looks like. Our tip number 5 is maybe the most important one, and that is if you are really struggling with your mental health when you're traveling, please talk to someone. There is no shame in having travel burnout or just not loving every second of it. We don't love every second of it, even though we love most of it. There's days when it's just really hard and you feel homesick or maybe you feel lonely, and our rule is always like any emotions that you have at home are still going to be real emotions when you're traveling. So some days at home, you just have days where you feel off or you feel tired or just kind of out of sorts, and that's going to happen when you travel, and that is so normal. So please don't feel any sort of shame or guilt around that, like, oh, I'm in an amazing place, I should feel 100% happy and so into this. You're going to have days that you just feel off. And if you have seen a counselor before or talked to someone at home routinely about your mental health issues, please keep that routine when you travel. A lot of people just imagine like, oh, well, because I'm traveling, all of my problems will be gone. And there's this idea like I'll be escaping everything that I struggle with at home, but that is not the case. So if you talk to someone at home, please find a way to do online counseling, or if it's a family member that you rely on or a friend, set up calls with them routinely so that you have someone to communicate with when you're traveling. Because these things don't just magically disappear because you're in another country. So please set up systems to be as healthy as you can be.
So I feel like this is like a really important video that we're making, and I feel like the tips that we're giving, I hope are really useful. They're really useful to us. But again, too, like, we don't know everything. I feel like we're pretty solid with our mental health a lot of the time. So we don't have all the tips. It would be awesome to get some more tips in the comments. Again, like with our other videos, this is for us, but it's also for you and for other people, just to know maybe how they can help their own mental health and just to stay healthy mentally.
Yeah, exactly. You know? And to be able to travel sustainably for longer if that's what you want to do. And on a much happier note, our bonus tip.
Treat yourself.
Treat yourself 2011.
Eric loves to suggest once in a while that we just splurge. And honestly, before I was so like on the budget that I'm like, no. We're not doing that. But it is helpful. Just every so often, just splurge on something, whether it's a nicer Airbnb or hostel or a massage or a tour or something that just makes you...
I love going for like a nice meal. Like going to go to somewhere really nice with a nice view. Mm-hmm. It's just like, to me, that's something I look forward to, even if it's like once every couple weeks. Like just something that like, oh yeah, but if we do this and there's this really cool place that I saw, we should totally go there, even though it's like, you know, maybe $100 more or something like that.
Totally.
Like, it's,
like try to find a way in your budget to save money on other things so that once in a while you can just treat yourself because it just, I don't know, it makes you happy, and that's really the whole point of traveling. It's just to just enjoy it. So treat yourself.
Treat yourself.
We hope you really enjoyed these tips about how to avoid travel burnout, and a big part of that is also being able to just communicate and connect with the person you're traveling with, if you're traveling with someone. So make sure to watch this video for tips on how to travel with a companion. And we hope you like this video. Make sure to like it and subscribe so you see more travel tip videos.
We'll see you in the next one.